Chapter 14. He's wearing his army camouflage shirt, a brown cap, and a weirdest grin that could fit on a human face. Woo-wee, he says, as holding up his rifle. With one hand, he plows through the weeds. I gotta! Woo-wee! I know he wasn't out shooting rabbits. He happened to get a doe instead, because he doesn't even have his hounds with him. Judd Travers had gone out that morning with the clear intention of getting himself a deer. I also know that if the game warden found out about it, Judd would be in big trouble, because the deer he shot out of season wasn't even a buck. He slogs over through the waist-high weeds where the doe is laying, bending over, and he looks at her and walks around her little piece. Then says, "Woo-wee," soft again. That's when I come out of the woods. He's got his back to me now. His hands are on the doe's front legs, trying to see if he can pull her himself. Drags her a little way and stops, and then he looks up and out again, and I'm right beside him. He whirls around. "Where'd you come from?" "I was on my way over to see you," I tell him, and for the first time standing there next to Judd Travers, I feel taller than I really am. He looks at me for a moment like he don't know if he's glad I'm there or not. Then I guess he figures me being there, only a kid, don't matter. "Look what I got," he says. "Found her eating my garden this morning, and I chased her over here." "That's a lie," I say. "I was back in the woods watching her eat. She was coming down from the hill the other way. You went out deer hunting for anything you could get." "Well, supposing I did," says Judge Travers, and he hates me worse than not snot. "Deer ain't in season, that's what," I answer. "There's a $200 fine for killing a doe." Judge Travers is staring at me like he's about to crack me across my mouth. Way we're raised around here, children don't talk back to grown folks. Don't hardly talk much at all, in fact. We learn to listen, keep our mouths shut, and let the grown folks do all the talking. And here I am shooting off my mouth like at 5:30 in the morning to a man holding a rifle. Am I crazy or what? "Not unless the game warden finds out there's not," Judd says. "And who's gonna tell him? You?" All at once, I realize I got Judd Travers right where I want him. One way you look at it, it's my duty to report a killed doe. The way folks up here look at it, though, it's snitching. And if I might, I could tell, but bargain not to. It's something else again. It's blackmail. But like I said, I got the place. I do most anything to save. I've gotten to the place where I do almost anything to save Shiloh. "Yeah," I say, my heart pounding like crazy. "I'll tell them. There's a free toll-free phone number." I tell, "That's a free number to call." "There is, too. It's on Dad's hunting regulation papers." Boy, I sure didn't know how I was going to step into all this when I came up this morning. Now Judd's looking me good in the eyes, narrowed down to his little slits. "Your pa puts you up to this." "No, this is me talking." "Well, ain't you something now? And who's to believe you?" "I'll get the game warden up here and I'll show him. I'll show him the spot where the doe was hit, where the blood is. When he finds out the deer is at your place, he'll believe me." The words come out quicker than I can think. Almost. "I'll tell him he was eating in my garden. And I'll say different. And the new game warden won't make any allowance. Even if the deer was eating in your garden, you just don't shoot deer out of season. No way. Especially a doe." Now Judd's really angry, and his words come out like me at bees. "What are you trying to do, boy? Start trouble? You think I can't put you in your place mighty quick?" "So, what are you going to do?" I ask. "Shoot me?" Travers is so surprised his jaw drops. But I'm cooking now. Nothing can stop me. Braver than I've ever been in my life. "Going to shoot me like that dog I found up here 6 months back with a bullet in his head?" Travers stares at me some more. "I know whose bullet that was, Judd. And I told my dad. And if folks find me up here with a bullet in me, Dad'll know whose bullet it was, too." I can hardly believe the words coming out of my mouth. I've been scared most of my life of Judd Travers, and here I am, half his size, talking like a grown person. It's because I know Shiloh has still got a chance. "So what are you waiting for, Judd?" says finally. "Go get the game warden." And when I don't move, he says, "Come off it, Marty. Here, You take one of those legs and I'll take the other and we'll drag it to my place and I'll give you that half the meat. And don't tell me your ma won't be glad to get it. I don't want the meat. I want Shiloh. Now Judd's really surprised and whistles through his teeth. Boy, you just come up here to set me up, didn't you? Didn't have any idea in the world you was out there with your rifle, I tell him. That's one of the first truths I've told in 2 weeks. I come up here because it's Sunday, the day you said to bring your dog back, and I wanted you to know that you got to fight me first to get him. Now I'm telling you, I mean to keep him, and you expect to keep that deer without a fine? You'll make the trade. Whoa, says Travers. That's no kind of trade at all. If I hadn't got me a deer this morning, what would you have bargained with then? I didn't have the answer to that because I hadn't been thinking about the deal. Judd already said he wouldn't sell Shiloh. Judd's eyes narrowing even more till he almost looked like he was asleep. I just bet you would tell the game warden too. In Jesus' name I would. And you're saying if I let you keep hunting my hunting dog, you're going to keep keep this deer secret? I began to see that I'm no better than Judd Travers, willing to look the other way to get something I want, but I tell him, but then the something is Shiloh. Yes, I will, I told him, not feeling all that great about it. Well, you got to do more than that, boy, because I paid $35 for that dog, and I want $40 to let him go. For the first time, I see the thin ray of hope that may be sell me Shiloh. I'll get you that money somehow by and by, I promise. I don't want any money by and by. I want it now, and you haven't got it now, so you work for me to pay it off. You make a deal with Judd Travers, and you're only 11 years old. You take what you can get, but all I'm thinking about is that dog. You got a bargain, I tell Judd. Now my feet want to dance. On my face wants to smile, but I don't dare let it my delight show through. You listen here, says Judd. I'll pay you $2 an hour, and that comes for 20 hours to earn $40. And that work ain't easy. I'll do it, I say. Beginning now, says Judd. I can tell he's getting a bit edgy. That someone else might come through the field wondering about the rifle shots and see he's got a doe. Help me get this doe to my trailer. I'm so glad to be getting Shiloh I can hardly think straight. But I'm thinking straight enough to help drag that doe to Judd's to know that by letting him get away with this, I'm putting other deer in danger. He killed this one out of season. He'll figure maybe he can kill some more. To save Shiloh, I'm making it harder for the deer, and I swallow. All I gotta do, though, is think of the way he'd look at me if I ever took him back to Judd, and then I get on with my job. When we get there to the trailer at last, we carry the deer around the three-sided shed of Judd's got in the backyard. First thing Judd does is bleed the doe, keep the meat from spoiling, and then he goes out and messes up the tracks with his foot, kicking up the grass where we matted it down and covered up the trail with blood with dust. I get home from work every day at 3, Judd says, and I want you here when I pull up. Your work for me is 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I want wood back there stacked. I want weeds cut and grass mowed. I want my beans picked, my corn hoed. Whatever I think of to be done, that's what you'll do. And I want you here starting tomorrow. I'll be here, I says, but I want you in writing that after I do 20 hours of work for you, Shiloh belongs to me. Travers grunts, goes into the trailer. He comes out with a piece of grocery sack and writes for a beagle hunting dog to Marty Preston for 20 hours of work. J. Travers. It occurs to me suddenly that maybe after I do the work, he'll try to put me off with more of his other dogs. Write Shiloh, I tell him, and he gives me a pained look and crosses out Beagle and writes Shiloh in his place, but don't spell it right, leaves off the H at the end. I take the paper, put it in my pocket. I'll be here tomorrow, I say. And did you ever tell anyone about this, dear boy? You're going to be more than sorry you opened your lips. You got my word, I say. Which, considering all the lying I've been doing lately, didn't seem like it amounted to much, but it did, though. I walk away from Judd's trailer in sort of a zigzag line, half expecting a bullet in my back at any moment, even though I'm pretty sure he wouldn't soon. As I'm out of sight, though, I race through the woods, my heart going thumpity thump. Can't keep the smile back no longer. Shiloh's mine. The words keep coming back again and again. He's safe. Shiloh feel even more joyful. Should feel even more joyful, though. Thought once I could get to Shiloh for my own, it wouldn't be the finest day of my life. In a way it was, but in a way it wasn't. Or it isn't. Could be Judd, given because he could think of nothing else at the moment to do. Said I could have Shiloh just because he needed some help with a deer. Could be that once he got rid of that deer, the evidence, he told me to go ahead and get the warden, and I wasn't to have the dog. Could even say that he never wrote that grocery sack, that I'd wrote it myself. I don't think so, though, because what worries me most of all is that Judd could come through with the bargain and give me Shiloh to me, but then someday when Shiloh's running free in the woods by himself, Judd might just put a bullet in his head, just to spite me.